Welcome to the Frugalpreneur podcast. I am your host, Sarah St. John. This episode is what I refer to as a showcase episode where I feature a bootstrapped entrepreneur and they briefly share their tips, tricks, tactics, techniques, and tools that help them bootstrap their business and the successes and failures along the way. My hope is that each of these showcase episodes will provide at least one valuable takeaway that you could implement right away in your own bootstrap business journey. Now, on to the episode.
Hello, I am Leah Remillet. Thank you so much for having me and letting me have this conversation. So, I started my journey in entrepreneurship really from forever. I love business. I feel like it's in my DNA. But when I had my family, I put all of that aside and thought, oh, I'm stay-at-home mom. The honest truth is, really missed entrepreneurship. So, I wanted to have something that was my own. And I started a business when my kids were really, really tiny, still in diapers. And I built it up to six figures in the first 18 months. And I know that that sounds like a dream, but it actually felt like a nightmare. I mean, I'll be honest, my bank account didn't. Okay, that's the truth. But the fact that I hadn't organized my business in a way that felt good, my goal had been money, and I reached that, but at the cost of everything else, of time freedom, of experience, of feeling like a great mom. So I made some really huge shifts in 2010, 2011, and I became determined to figure out how I could do less but better. Ultimately, the goal was, how do I make the most amount of money in the least amount of time? And I needed that because I wanted to be a fully present mom, wife, friend, homemaker. I wanted to have both. And I had been so terrified before finding these answers that work life balance didn't exist. And so my journey has been to find that. And now today I am a balance strategist who focuses on helping women do less but better so that we can replace hustle with more happy. In the beginning, I think we all bootstrap. I mean, sure, there are people out there who have great financial resources, but I wasn't one of them. My husband was in graduate school. I had been a stay-at-home mom. I had to bootstrap everything. And that is such a gift. And I want to say that everything that you're learning, it's just going to give you more experience that makes you better in the future. However, and this is such a big however, if I could go back, what I would shift and what I would change is I would be setting everything up as if I was going to outsource sooner. So in the beginning, I couldn't even imagine being able to get help. How was I going to afford help? But by the time I really needed the help, I was drowning and I was so in it all that I couldn't figure out how I'd find the time to even find someone, train someone, hire, all that onboarding process. What I've shifted since then, but what I wish I knew from the beginning is as I was setting everything up, that I would have leaned more heavily on opportunities to automate, to build checklists and workflows. Those checklists would then be able to be shifted over when I could hire someone to say, hey, here's my process. Here's exactly how I do this. Follow it step by step. Ask me if you have questions. And I would have been able to more easily transition into getting that help. But I mean, honestly, my education came from YouTube. It came from bootstrapping and being like, hey, everything's figure outable. I can figure this out. I need a website. I need to get this little part coded. I need to figure out how to create great social media. I need to figure out how to start the next thing that I realize my business needs. It really all is there and available. We just have to ask ourselves every once in a while, am I putting more focus on saving money than on saving time? Because sometimes it really is better to invest in saving that time. So yes, early years, I bootstrapped the heck out of things, but I wish I would have structured in those early years in documenting, in figuring out the very best way to do something and then duplicating it over and over. Whether those checklists are first for myself, but then eventually I can hand them off to someone else to get that help. Also, it's going to just save me time because instead of me sitting down each time and thinking, okay, wait, how do I do this? I can go to that Google Doc and be like, oh, that's exactly how I do it. And then go from there. The lesson is here, even though this is not even a thing anymore. So I've been in business a long time and Facebook business pages, Facebook business did not even exist when I first started my business. I think 4 or 5 years into my business, Facebook business pages came out. And I could see the value in it. I saw how helpful it could be. And I was like, oh, I want to figure this out. So, I mean, I was watching all kinds of YouTube videos and listening in on webinars and anything I could. And I figured out you used to have these things that were Facebook business pages where you could code in and add this section into your Facebook business page that kind of made it like a mini website. Most people are not going to remember that, but they were really helpful and were great marketing opportunities. And so I learned how to do that for myself and then I monetized it. So I put in all the time to learn how to do it. But instead of just making it for my business only, I then went out and it was like $1,500 and I would do it for you. And I did that for, a dozen other businesses. And so that bootstrapping that I did, I was able to then monetize and do it for others because I had taken the time to learn. And so I would say the biggest success for me, hands down, throughout my career has been I bootstrap, I learn how to do it myself because that's really what bootstrapping is, right? Like we're learning how to do it ourselves instead of paying someone else to do it for us. So when you get really good at that one thing, often you can now go teach it, whether that's you creating a course where you teach how to do it or you actually one-to-one services for a much higher price point are doing it. But that has been my biggest success for bootstrapping. My biggest failure has been where really I did the opposite, where I got too focused on saving money instead of saving time. And I went down these rabbit holes of trying to learn how to do it myself. And I've had that gut feeling of like, I am in over my head, but I just kept going and going and spending money here and there, not really realizing how much it was adding up. I did this when I was trying to transfer my courses and I was trying to do it in a bootstrap way. I was trying to switch platforms and I wanted to save some money. So I did hire someone, but not as an expert. I was kind of trying to train them and we are trying to figure it out together. And I was trying to go all these cheaper options. It ended up costing thousands and so many hours. I mean, 100 hours. And so in that sense, that bootstrapping failed me. So I think it's trusting your gut if you do feel like you're getting in over your head and just taking a pause, resetting and asking yourself, like, is this the best way? Is there a simpler way? Is there a better way? But then the success is in when you learn how to do something really well because you bootstrapped it, ask yourself, how can I leverage this? Can I turn this into an income opportunity? And I think so many times the answer is yes, which is amazing. I think with where we are today, my best tips for bootstrapping is number one, to use ChatGPT. ChatGPT can be so powerful in learning how to do something and just speeding up the process. So there's so much power in the way that you input your questions. So, for example, I took a pitch that I was writing and I put it into ChatGPT and I said, here's the pitch I currently have. Here's who I am and who I'm trying to connect with. Please ask me any questions that will help you give me a better answer. That's a really big thing. Ask it to ask you for follow up questions to give you a better output. And then I let it spit it out. Then once it spit it out, I said, great. Now, can you shift this and make it more like X? In fact, I found a second pitch and I said, now, can you look at this pitch, the first pitch I gave you and the one you made? Can you bring them together and see if you can make an even stronger pitch? And so when you're trying to learn something, I even went in and I was like, for my own podcast, Balancing Busy, I'm like, hey, I want to make the Balancing Busy podcast even better. What can you teach me about how I can make my podcast better based on, and then I gave it all of these parameters of what I wanted it to be, thinking about, looking for, searching. So I think that when it comes to bootstrapping, we have AI now, we have ChatGPT, using a combo of that and YouTube to learn things. When you get into a video on YouTube, if it's not delivering value right away, get out of there and find one that does. We don't want to waste time on big, long intros and let me tell you my life story first and all those kind of things. But all of that can help with like best tip, trick, get in, get out for bootstrapping your way to success. What we each really want is to build a business and a life that lights us up. That's what we want. We want to have that financial freedom that makes it so that whatever it is for you, those stresses, those struggles, they disappear. Maybe it's that you never have to think about the cost at the grocery store, or it's easy to take your best friend out and just take care of everything, to be the generous one who covers the table. Or maybe it's that you always get to add guacamole. But we want those benefits, but you also have to have the time to enjoy those. If we're so wrapped up in our business, if we're so in it that we never actually have the time to make the memories, to enjoy the moments, to enjoy the income, then we're off. So I would love to encourage you. You have this podcast, which is teaching you so much about how to stretch your dollar, make your money count, and make more of it. And then on the other side, I'd love to show you how to make your time stretch, how to give you that time freedom, and how to balance the busyness. So I'd love for you to come check out my podcast, Balancing Busy. Take a moment when you're done with this one, come find me, subscribe, and I will show you more tools, tips, tricks, strategies on how to use systems, automations, workflows, all kinds of different needle movers to give you more time. And then I want you to put that time into making more money. So then you can come back to Frugalpreneur and you can get more ideas for making money because you have more time to do it. Thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed that episode and were able to take away a valuable nugget of information that you can implement right away in your own business. If you feel your story would be valuable for the listeners of this show, please visit frugal.show/guest.